Okay, welcome back to part 8. Let's take a look and see what we're doing this week. Have the driver's fender stripped, ready for primer. Alright, so yesterday I went and picked up some fuel line for the tanks and got that put on and got the tanks both mounted back on the truck after we shortened the frame. And if you notice, actually I only had to bore 2 holes in the back brackets, which was these 2 where the frame was scooted up. These 2 here actually still worked. These 2 worked. These 2 I had to bore because of the frame scooting up. But everything's clearing. You see the tanks set in front of the spring hangers on both sides. Today we're going to put some rust treatment on the tanks and the brackets on both tanks. And I've already got the frame done all the way up under the cab with the rust encapsulator. So today we're going to start with that. So let's get started. I'm going to use the Eastwood machine on the tank straps. The tanks themselves have been undercoated on the bottom and with looks like from the factory, so I'm just going to leave that part alone, but I am going to clean up the top before I put the rust encapsulator on. Okay, we got most of the crust off of each strap. Keep in mind, I'm not trying to do a show truck with this truck, just a good daily driver and cruiser. And we just want to make sure that we sustain everything. Make sure when you do this stuff to always wear gloves. It's hard to get off once it gets on your skin. I just used some cheap brushes from Amazon because you definitely need to throw them away when you get done. Forgot my piece of cardboard. Help keep some of the paint off the concrete. Okay, that's all I'm going to do on the tanks. I'm actually going to wait on the bottom sides of the tanks until I get it up on the lift. I got to put transmission seal in the rear end of it and do some other things under the truck. So I'm just getting this done to where I can actually put the bed back on the truck. Still got to do the rear end and the rear end housing, but we'll get that at a little later time too. So that's what that looks like after it's on there. The stuff actually smooths out. You don't see near as many brush streaks in it when it dries. I don't know. It's pretty thin consistency, and I guess it just sort of melts its way together. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get back over on the other side of the shop where I can make some dust and do some welding and try to finish up the patch panel on the other side of the bed. Here's a shot after I put the reinforced fiberglass Bondo on, and there's the top where I filled the stake pockets on all four sides. Okay, after a few hours of more Bondoing and rough blocking, we've got pretty much ready to put some epoxy primer on it tomorrow. I want to get this metal covered up. We've got the stake pockets filled. Same thing on this side. This side, pretty close. It's still got some little bit of ripple in it, but it's good enough that we can go on and get some epoxy primer on it, and then we'll start blocking after we put the polyester primer on top of the epoxy. And still might be a place or two that might require a little bit of Bondo, but really not going to worry about it right now. I'm just mainly trying to get it in close enough shape that I can get some epoxy primer on it. So I took this header panel loose today, pulled the screws out, and the reason I did that is because on the inside it had some trash and debris down in that, and I need to sand down in that groove. This doesn't really get seam sealer. I might put some back in it when I get ready to paint it, but factory it didn't have it. I've got all the seam sealer chiseled out around everything else. What I'm going to do is, after I get this in epoxy primer, I'm going to flip this bed up on its front and where I can get to the bottom good, and I'm going to scuff all of the cross seals in the floor. And I got some dents I need to peck out in the floor on the ribs, one there in the wheel tub. And then I'll probably use some rock guard or maybe some bed liner all on the bottom and go in and get that finished up. And that way, after I get it painted, pretty much all I have to do is just go back and maybe touch up a little bit where we scuff it, putting it on the truck. But it's coming along pretty good. It's been a long day, kind of a rough one. The Bondo dust I really don't enjoy, but it's part of it, so we'll just have to go with the punches, I guess. Look forward tomorrow. We're going to put the epoxy primer on. Today's the day we're going to shoot some epoxy primer on the bed and the one front fender. Those fenders on the rack there for another project. They're not, I probably will epoxy prime them today, but they're not for the C10 Rusty Crusty build. So we're just waiting for the water to dry out. Got a lot of fans running, that's why the noise is so loud. But we're going to scoot it back in here, and then we're going to get you in here in the paint room as I prime the bedside. All right, that'll wrap it up for part 8 of the Rusty and Crusty build. Got epoxy primer on the bed today and on the driver's side fender. And next will be the polyester primer. You should wait 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to wait it out and make sure the epoxy primer's cured out good before I put polyester on top of it. So we'll probably do that the next day or so. That's where we're at. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.